8,640 pounds is not too bad considering this is an extra tall, conventionally constructed triple deep slide Wildwood bunkhouse here at Haywood RV of Coldwater, Michigan. We've got one of the most flexible living room super slide arrangements ever in the history of ever in the world of camping, with dual opposing bunk room slides that basically give this RV like 2 private sleeping areas, 2 full living rooms. I mean, this is ideal for destination use or rainy day survival so that you're not going to get cabin fever and just drive each other crazy. Now what we're looking at here is pretty common of multi-slide travel trailers, the way that we're seeing them in bunkhouses. You can get through here, you can get around the kitchen, you can get to the fridge and the dinette, so if you need to stop, make a sandwich, have a drink or something like that, you can. But you are going to need to open the slides to get to the bathroom and the bunk room. Even if you were to open that bunk room door, you'd just basically be staring directly at 2 slide faces. So this is definitely a destination use trailer, but that's kind of the point. You get there, you get set up. It's a really big, long trailer. It's not the kind of trailer you necessarily expect to be towing constantly. There's no reason you couldn't. But this one's really best suited for someone who's going to stay in one place for a while, set up shop, and really enjoy the destination. When you get there and you open up, this thing just feels huge. The taller 6'9" interior and these massive maximum size panoramic viewing and cross breeze windows here in the Super Slide give the RV a massive look and feel. However, they are not acting very camera friendly today because those windows are pointing directly at the just blazing sun right now. The good news is Wildwood gives us a way to kind of prevent that from being a problem. Because their Super Slide comes equipped with these just straight blackout slow rise shades. Now, if I peek over here past the wall into the bedroom, you can see I didn't like wait until it got dark. These shades are just awesome blackout shades, and they extend down well past the window so you don't have light pollution bleeding through. But it still feels nice and big and open and airy in here. Part of that is the fact that above the slide out they have a bright white LED accent light, which makes the whole RV look and feel larger. And again, with that taller ceiling, the thing looks and feels large anyway. But what I want to talk about is not the windows. I don't want to talk about sunshine. I want to talk about what I think is hands down the most flexible and well thought out, well executed seating arrangement I think I've ever seen in a travel trailer super slide. So what we're looking at right now, it looks very boring and bland. You see a big U-dinette and you see a sofa. But that is only where the story of the Wildwood Versa Lounge begins. Because the back of that dinette can flip around and face the other way. And what it creates, instead of the same boring sofa and dinette that everybody else has, you have an industry exclusive Versa Lounge system that can create a giant L-shaped lounge that organically faces the entertainment center. And frankly, for a big person like me, it gives me the ability, I actually have like a daytime napping couch now. An adult can stretch out and snooze on this thing way better than a hide-a-bed. It's an actual adult-size sleeper if need be. But what's cool is it doesn't like completely eliminate the dinette when in place. If you notice, like for just a quick little daytime bite to eat, you can still work your way around that table. In a sense, it almost creates like a little work desk station. So you still have a spot. You could plop the kiddos down, and they're a little more contained. Very handy if you got a little. You want to kind of really box them into a corner. I know that when my daughter was small, we would always get a booth at a restaurant and shove her on the inside so that we could keep her from running away, basically. But the fact is, if you look at this thing, there's nothing else like this. This is an industry exclusive feature here. Plus, since there's no fixed rear bench, this thing can fold down into one jiggity gigantic sleeping space. So forget true U-dinettes. How about a full Super Slide sleeper? You want to sleep a couple adults? You want to sleep nose to toes or something like that? I mean, you could sleep toes to toes here. You can stretch right out. You're never going to bump into one another. Not to mention the fact that back in the back of the RV, this thing has dual opposing slides and all kinds of sleeping space there. If you have a massive family or if you bring a lot of friends, I don't know that there's another trailer that can provide you more flexibility in seating and sleeping than one of these big Wildwoods here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan, complete with their new Versa Lounge. But the crazy part is we're still not done. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of the Wildwood Stow and Go storage system. You have 5 of these giant stackable totes that all hide under your seating, and you never have to, there's no reason you ever have to take apart any of your seating within the slide to get to any of that storage. And we still have a dedicated pantry over here, so it's not like any of this messes at all with your kitchen storage. Another thing they did that's easily missed, and it's why I put these videos together, they took the blocky construction out from under the rear bench and they left this wide open. So if you, now that plank right there, it's not removable, that is fixed, but what it lets you do is throw some stuff under there, or if you're the one sitting on the rear bench, you can kind of curl your feet under you and lean forward a little bit. So it makes it a more comfortable seating space, and that is really, really handy when you have it in Versa Lounge mode with the L Lounge and the little L dinette. It just makes it, like I said, it's just easier. It's just easier, it's smarter, and it is one of the things that I hesitate to say this because I'm supposed to be super unbiased and, hey, everything's neat and awesome. You know, I feel like the guy from the Lego movie, everything is awesome, but this changes the game. This is a literal game changer to me right here because of what it does for entertainment value versus seating value and social seating and storage and sleeping space. It's easily the best slide seating arrangement I have ever seen because it only does everything, and I'm going to call it a Swiss Army sofa because it only does everything. So enough of me gushing over chairs. Basically, that's what I just did. I spent a bunch of time gushing over chairs. There's a ton of other parts of this camper we can look at. For instance, we have the 10.7 cubic foot 12 volt DC fridge. And Wildwood was the first brand in this category to standardize that. And a lot of other brands have since followed suit, but they were the ones that did it first and kind of made it mainstream. It is 67% larger, basically, than a conventional 6 cubic foot fridge. That's pretty close on the math. I think it's actually like 70%. Anyway, point is, it's bigger. It's much bigger. It is also 100% travel friendly and compliant regardless of what state you are in, because there's no like flame or propane igniter or anything like that. And it only draws 3 amps. So if you are going to be off-grid, you throw a portable solar panel on this thing and you can run it indefinitely. You will not run out of cold food or power or whatever. Now, all of our lights can be controlled individually, so you can really make your RV comfortable. And all of our air vents can also be controlled individually, so you always maintain a lot of control over these as well. Now, over here in our bathroom, they could have really scaled back on this. They could have made this very simple, but they actually, they give us some good eye appeal. Like, you see that accent wall behind the sink and the mirror? It looks awesome. Plus, you've got a taller ceiling with a taller shower, surround paneling, and a skylight. So that some of the stuff that you're seeing here in the bathroom, some of the treatments, like I believe the skylight, is actually optional. We always dress up the bathrooms of these as much as we can. And I like that little cutaway right there. So if you're a little bigger on the shoulders or the hips or whatever, it gives you a little bit more room there. Plus, of course, we still have handy outlets for, blow dryers, shavers, etc. Now, our rear slide room, the buttons to control them are right here. And I like that because you have to be standing here and you have to personally look at those slides to make sure they're opening and closing in an unimpeded fashion. And that's just one of the smarter things that went into this RV. Also, what I think is going to be very popular with a lot of folks is the fact that this doesn't have one of those little ConvertiCube arrangements over here, as is often the case with many, many bunkhouse manufacturers. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the ConvertiCubes. You've heard me talk about Fort Awesome Sauce if you watch a bunch of my RV videos. If you haven't, check one out. I think you'd like what you see there. But I might be a biased source. The point is, it gives it a little bit more of a daytime living room feel, but obviously you've got the flip-up bunk overhead, so you can convert this into a ton of sleeping space if it, needed. But why tell you when we can show you? It is a video after all, right? So you're not losing sleeping space, you're just gaining the ability to have a more comfortable daytime function. Now the rear wall of this RV is a little bit reminiscent of like a conventional rear entertainment center. You can see down here you've got TV hookups. Now I've known some people who will use an RV like this like for full timing with a layout like this, and there's some people like military families will use this as like a mobile classroom in the back here, because it gives them the ability to have like different screens to teach different things, different spaces. But the fact remains, if you want to, you can like, again, totally convert this into a second living space, but it has an awesome amount of dedicated storage so that the kids or the guests' stuff or whoever's staying back here, it stays contained in this room instead of cluttering up the living room. So in addition to the entertainment capacity, this gives us dual hanging wardrobe closets, which is something bunkhouses very often lack, as well as a bunch of handy little dresser drawers right here. Now this lower bunk sticks out a little bit because behind that wall is the outside camp kitchen. So that bunk can flip up and down. It has to flip up to be able to close without being crushed. And then you have a fixed, what I call big kid bunk above. This is actually a little bit wider bed, and I think the larger kids will enjoy being up there. Plus, they got a handy little spot to keep their phones plugged in during the day. And not to be outdone, the other side has the exact same thing. So whether we're using it in sleeper space or seater space, you're going to be good to go either way. Now, we also have a door. We have a sanity room back here, so the mom and dad can just close the door in case the kids are going bananas. Now, with that lounge in Versa position like we see currently, that L-shaped sofa directly faces that forward entertainment center right there. So this is not a 90-degree neck wrecker entertainment, especially if you choose to add a big swing-out TV. I mean, that's a huge blank canvas right there. I don't know the maximum size TV you can apply to it. I bet it's in the neighborhood of somewhere between 40 to 50 inches. You can put a large screen on that sucker. And the accent wall paneling there, again, just like the bathroom, it's a nice touch. It's something, they could have just used the same wall paneling all the way through. You wouldn't have cared. But they didn't. They gave it a life. They really paid attention to every area of this. Speaking of which, every area has the exact same sealed edge press membrane countertop material here. And you notice up front, you've got this Bluetooth stereo system built all into the sound bar. But there's all sorts of different TV hookups. There's HDMI plugs if you want to be like streaming media friendly or add a Blu-ray player or something. Electric space heating fireplace below that gets the chill out of the air without burning up your propane. And you've just got it's like a floating entertainment center because you have a full wall shoe garage, effectively a little shoe shelf down there where you can really just pack this thing up. You know, you can, once again, just like all the storage in the bunkhouse, you can cut the clutter and keep the camper clean. And I like that alliteration. Now, something Wildwood is good at, whether it's full Wildwood that we're looking at or the little brother, more simple series X-Lite, is they throw shelves in their overhead cabinets. They make them extra tall. It's easier in full Wildwood since it's an extra tall series of trailer. It really gives us more space there. Now, you've got that sealed edge counter we already talked about, recessed stovetop, and then that sink drying rack below that high-rise sprayer faucet to give us some good counter space in here. And you can see you've got plywood drawers to the floor over there by the sink as well. Plus, there's a big old space down here for a wastebasket, not just a small one either. Or you could throw a little shelf unit in there and kind of dress it up as you see fit. And a big old gaggle of outlets for the kitchen, so whether it's coffee makers or phone chargers or appliances, you got a nice spot for everything. Now, up here in this private bedroom, just like they didn't waste space under the sofa or under the sink, they didn't waste an opportunity to expand on that stow-and-go storage in the bedroom. Down below, you've got like another little shoe garage in a sense, but these individual little organizer totes right here, they kind of function in a sense as something like dresser drawers, and they're easy to get to. They're lightweight. It's great to, like, if you've got a multi-person family in here, which considering this bunkhouse you probably do, each person can have their own tote, or mom and dad can just commandeer all of them. Plus, this mattress is obviously easy to lift thanks to that dual gas strut system right there, so you don't have to, you know, pretend you're at Gold's Gym for the weekend just to get to your storage. The bedroom wall is accented just like the entertainment wall, and something they do here that is very cool is they have these little cutaway pockets in both of their side stands. You see how the household outlets are actually inside of that cabinet? They have built-in CPAP storage. This is the first trailer in its class to ever purposely, intentionally do something like that. No, there's plenty of other very CPAP-friendly campers, but I've never seen another brand go out of their way to specifically accommodate CPAP machines like they did right here. Household and USB outlets on both sides, easy to walk around the bed, and across from the bed, should you choose to add it, you have perfect placement for TV hookups. A beautiful, bright, sunny day like this is the perfect day to talk about that newly updated, lighter skin tone package found in these Wildwoods. First of all, I think it just looks a lot cleaner and more modern, but secondly, it will generate far less heat than the brown on brown on brown skin package this thing used to have, especially on a big triple slide model like this, which has a ton of square foot of surface area. It will generate a ton less heat as a result. Another thing this will generate less of compared to industry standard trailers is sidewall scratches due to their tough coat skin system. First of all, any of the darker aluminum bands that you see are 33% thicker. The front nose itself is 66% thicker, or let's see, 40, okay, yep, sorry, I always have to run those numbers in my head real quick. Now, on top of that though, like those features are great, but any sidewall, front, rear wall, aluminum, any of the aluminum that you see on the outside of the RV, it has an anti-scratch coating applied to it, and that's one of those invisible features that goes into the lifespan, longevity, and good looks of this RV over the longer period of ownership that you can't see, that if I didn't talk about it, you probably wouldn't know it was there. And I don't think Wildwood does a good job talking about it, frankly. They call it tough coat. So if you go to a campground or something like that, or if you pull into your driveway and you have a low-hanging tree branch, it's just far, far less likely to scar up your camper. Now, up front here, you can see they have a 12-volt battery disconnect switch so that that 12-volt fridge isn't eating your batteries alive when you're done camping. You can see here, you've got the magnet holdbacks for your baggage doors. That's what that little black sucker is up top there. But as we come down here, you see one of my favorite things on these, and that is the strong arm stabilizer jack leg supports. That's that yellow bar right there. See that little T-handle? After you crank your jacks down, there's another like crank basically that comes with this RV, or you can just reach in by hand and you just give that little T-handle a little twist until it snugs up, and this thing is going to feel like it's on a concrete pad. It's awesome. Combine that with the stable steps over there in the distance that we'll talk about in more detail as we get closer to them. You got yourself one rock steady little girl here. Now underneath, this is another new big time update on Wildwoods from the previous generation. The sectionalized drop panel heated enclosed accessibility. And I love that name, accessibility. I like amalgamated words. Long story short, most enclosed RV underbellies, even in luxury fifth wheels, they're a single plastic corrugated enclosure. And if you need to work on the underbelly, you have one or two choices. You drop the entire belly, which is time and labor intensive, or you take a knife and you cut an access panel into it, and then you basically duct tape it back in place. Which works, but it does feel kind of hillbilly-ish. I've never really liked it. Now this is something where you don't have to feel like a hillbilly. The individual sectionalized panels are about 4 by 8 feet individually. They can drop on their own, so you can access the part of the belly you need to, put it back up when you're done. Simpler, easier, less expensive, and doesn't leave redneck duct tape on the bottom of your camper. Our roof is fully walkable. You have a 3/8 deck up top there and 16-inch on center studs basically all the way around the RV, the walls, the roof, the floor, the everything. Speaking of the floor, we have a 5/8 tongue and groove plywood floor deck, which is very great because the way that the plywood sheets tongue and groove together, they can't like rub up and down vertically against one another, and it takes a lot of the potential squeaks out of the camper. Now these come with a bumper mounted grill, and we're going to see that open in just a minute, because one of the cool things they did here, kind of like J-Flight does the same thing with this floor plan, they have a slide face mounted full side camp kitchen before you get to the power awning. Now they did something a little different, but it makes a lot of sense over here for their full size camp kitchen. First of all, it's mounted on the face of the slide, which kind of facilitates the fact that they have an extended swing arm grill mount, so that the grill can actually come over to the camp kitchen, so that you're not constantly working your way around this corner. It's right there. You turn around, bam, you can you know, tend to your burgers or hot dogs or brats or whatever, and then you can just fold the grill away and put it back on the bumper when you're done. And that's what's cool. You don't have to store this. This actually stays mounted on that swing arm and brackets against the rear wall, as you might have noticed when we went around it previously. Now, in addition to that 10.7 cubic foot fridge inside, we've got the larger fridge outside, which gives this RV more cold storage than the average mid-size to luxury class fifth wheel. You have to get all the way up to an 18 cubic fridge before you can start to get more than this. And down here we have galvanized rolled steel counters, which basically means not wooden counters. But look at how this is really sunk down and recessed. And the sink is now reachable. The only problem, often, not the case here, but usually when you have an outside camp kitchen mounted in a slide out, the sink is up like to your chin. Well, now it's not. Now it's actually at like waist level where you can actually use it, where you can wash your hands, you can wash the kids' hands. They could reach this thing. Appliance outlets in case you want a little griddle station over here, or if it's, you know, blender station, a little Long Island variety. I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. And bam, little extra lighting outside when and where you need it. Now, more overhead cabinet storage, just like we saw inside. They utilize every little pocket of space they can here. They've done a very good job. Then as soon as we get past that slide, we are met with a pretty good sized power awning, and it is an easy tilt awning. It has LED lighting below it. You've got your outside speakers kind of split, one there and then one all the way up front next to that storage compartment. But on the way through, you're going to pass that anti-slam door with the larger handle and the stable steps, all of which are standard. You don't have to pay extra money to get the better steps on a Wildwood. A lot of brands have standardized, a lot of brands have not. It just kind of depends. I'm trying to point out the differences between brands so you know what you're getting for your dollar. Now, as we come up here, just above that big compartment, or pardon me, just below the big compartment, you have a little solar prep plug. So if you do have a portable solar panel, you have a good spot to put it in. And it appears that somebody left a little rag in the pass-through compartment that I didn't notice when I opened it the first time. But you can see this is a huge pass-through area. With an easy lift bed that you can eat. I was not expecting the cameo. You know, like when you're watching a sitcom and the neighbor pokes his head in the door, the audience is like, oh, hey, it's Kramer, or whatever. Anyway, so obviously you can get to the pass-through compartment from the bed area. Now, little things like this, they actually keep all their handles in place. You know, your handles are just sliding around the pass-through compartment. And you see this little guy. I've talked about these for years, but what's going on here is instead of manual crank jacks, this is what we call the cordless crank jack system. What that basically means, you get yourself a cordless power drill and you play NASCAR pit crew driver and you put the jacks up and down. It is faster, and they are using 5,000 pound rated jacks. A normal travel trailer uses 2,500 pound jacks. That might not mean much to you. You might not know what those numbers represent, but you know that 5,000 is more than 2,500, right? Well, it can hold more weight. It can provide more stability. That's what these jacks do. And remember, more stability plus the strong arm stabilizer jacks we already talked about makes this thing solid, like Bob Seger, like a rock solid. Plus, we've got the stable steps so that the camper isn't rocking and rolling around as the kids are coming and going, all jacked up on Mountain Dew and marshmallows. And chances are, with a big double slide bunkhouse like this, you've got quite a few kids in it anyway. So it all makes sense, doesn't it? It's a big trailer that stays steady at your site when you get those jacks down and cranked in place. And it just all comes together and it all works. It's like a symphony. Every little piece is another member of that orchestra. So give us a call here at Haylett RV. We don't do hidden dealer fees, but we do everything else, including RV delivery. So give us a call because we do it all. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.